Yo, what's up, ladies and germs? This is the Saturday night, slightly inebriated version of Roy's picks. Um, is this thing on? Yeah, it's recording. All right, cool. So, anyway, there's a little drama this caused by a trade deadline. Um, yeah, Tony, I went back and checked, and yeah, I misread it the first time, and you were right, actually, that that trade was made in week 12 of last year. This year it fell on the trade deadline fell on week 11, which I don't know. I haven't changed anything. It's been like that since the beginning of the year. Um, Pretty appropriate since the playoffs start week 14. That a couple just 2 weeks out from the playoffs um, would be the deadline. Anyway, I didn't think it was going to be an issue. I kind of forgot about it myself, and then I went and looked and saw that that was it. So I can't really extend it. Anyway, sorry for not making a big announcement about that, but it's been on the website the whole time. It's been no secret. So anyway, sorry for anybody that may have affected. There are deals that I would have loved to have done too, but just couldn't get them taken care of before the deadline. So anyway, and we had a deadline last year, and I guess it was week 12. But you can't have it go on through the end of the season, man. Anyway, uh, let's look at the first matchup of the week. It's boyfriend girlfriend Roomy versus Roomy in Suck My Turds versus the Finagler. Um, Pretty interesting start. They're totally even, and they've and they've all one's had four players go, the others had three. It's kind of nice to see Nate all except about Reggie Bush get minus points from him. Woodhead got a respectable 4 points. The Jets D are fucking insane. 23 points, man. Yeah, Cincinnati's just terrible. Terrible. Um, Meanwhile, Meg got an 11th spot out of Santonio, which is nice. Interesting that you didn't play Braylon this week. And it was a good call. I keep calling you out, Meg, for playing Braylon Edwards, and a lot of the time, both he and Santonio they're putting up good numbers combined, and it's been like a really good play. This week it wasn't a good play, and you didn't make the play, and I commend you for that, for having some good instincts. I would love to see you beat Nate and end his season right now. It would be really awesome, especially with all the smack he's been talking. And at 5-6, he's already on the outside looking in. I think a victory here for Suck My Turds would seal the deal. I'm not sure that it's going to happen, although I like Ronnie Brown this week. Chester the Molester might be able to steal a goal line touch. Reggie Wayne is going to have to come up big if the Colts are going to win that game. Brent Selleck could take away a little bit of Michael Vick's action, although he hasn't really been the focal point of the offense like he was last year. Um, I'm looking at Nate Dogg, and Vic and McCoy are formidable. That's a good tandem right there. And I like Andre, and Brandon Lloyd's been super. I mean, that's the pickup of the year right there. Him and Peyton Hillis, and maybe Steve Johnson. But anyway, I mean, Nate's got some real firepower going, but I think this game could really go either way. I guess a lot of it depends if his Vic's, drops a 40 spot or not. And I don't think he will. I think that Chicago defense is going to beat him up, and you're going to see Vic top out at maybe 230, 240 yards, two touchdowns, and a pick, which is going to be a solid 20-point game. But I don't see any ginormous games coming from him, and I see Meg staying competitive in this one. I actually am going to favor Nate by about 10, but I would take Meg and the points if I was a gambling man right there. This is going to be a good one. Now, going to win this week. Won last week. Came out huge, actually. Had just a ridiculous fucking output there. And so far this week, he's got 21 points with the two players he had going, which is pretty solid. Um, Tony, you're the only one who's been completely eliminated from contention. but it'd be awesome if you could beat Eric, because if you do, I will. I think I will clinch a first round bye, and I don't have to worry about winning next week. So please do your thing, Tony. Hopefully Aaron Rodgers goes off. Miles Austin already had a nice one. Brandon Pettigrew already had a nice one. Thomas Jones got a good matchup. I think Matt Forte is going to be active. Steve Johnson is maybe the only Buffalo Bill you can play, I suppose. Manningham is finally going to pay some dividends for. I know you've been starting him in the past. Now's the week to start his ass. Yeah, so Tony could put up some points this week. He really could. Meanwhile, the Bungles have Peyton, who's going to do his thing. Ray Rice is going to do his thing. Peyton Hillis is going to do his thing. Tolbert's going to do his thing. You got some great matchups. I mean, Mike Wallace at Buffalo. Oh, my God. Bungles have great matchups. This could be a really high-scoring game. This could be like 130 to 115. I'm going to have to pick the Bungles. You know, they've been winning all year. I'm rooting for you, Tony. I don't say that shit very often, but I'm rooting for you. I'm going to have to pick the Bungles in a very high-scoring affair. I think Tony is going to put up a point total that's going to beat at least half the league this week, but it's not going to be enough to beat the Bungles. Now the Riots at 8-3, sitting atop the division, versus the 6-5 West Coast Enlightenment. Not exactly right on his heels, but second place in that division. If the playoffs started today, the Enlightenment would be in. Enlightenment's put together a pretty solid team here. Orton against St. Louis. I don't like starting Fred Jackson against Pittsburgh or Brandon Jackson at Atlanta, but West Coast doesn't have too many choices. His team's real banged up, and he wasn't able to pull off a trade for running back. And he's starting Gaffney, Burleson, and Moss. I honestly, I know that Witten had a nice game for you, Liad, but I don't even need to look at the Riots team to know that you're going to lose this week unless the Steelers D has like 40 points. And they could. They could. But the Riots, yeah, you didn't get much of an output out of Kitna. But with Turner, Foster, Jackson, that's going to be a really nice trio right there. I don't think this is going to be a blowout, but I don't know that West Coast can really keep up in this game. Yeah, I see a couple of West Coast players getting pretty much shut out, and I don't see that happening to the Riots, who are already off to a very nice start. So anyway, yeah, the Riots are going to win this one, probably about 110, 115 to 90 or so. I mean, West Coast's going to put up a respectable score, but it's not going to be enough. Meanwhile, Prime Time versus Take a Weed Eater. Really, who gives a shit about this matchup? Neither of these teams making the playoffs. There's no real drama in here. One guy's in the tape room. Another guy does audio. They barely interact. Seriously, there's really no drama in this affair. Yeah, Primetime's team has been a major disappointment. I tried to make a trade for a real quarterback with you, Porter. I did. Try to make some moves. And I was rebuffed. You could have had Roddy White on your fucking team. I was rebuffed. And so you got to start out Carson Palmer with a 4.83. That's like a third of the worst output that either of my QBs have put out all season. And that's what you got in a must-win game situation. Sad, dude. Sad. Anyway, don't need to go into too much detail in this game because who gives a shit, right? And I know that Campbell doesn't even watch these fucking things. Guy's probably my best friend out of anybody in the whole league, and he doesn't even watch the videos that I spent all my freaking time putting together, man. I rehearse these things, you know. There's just no appreciation for what goes into these. Anyway, Solid Snakes versus High Stepper is pretty intense, actually, because this is going to come down to potentially the last wild card spot right here. They're both 5-6, but they both have a lot of points. One of them's going to be 6-6 at the end of this, and the other one's going to be ass out basically at 5-7, and is not going to make the playoffs. This is a must-win game for both teams, and High Step and Freak got 50 points. I mean, I don't know what you're going to do, Solid Snakes. Yeah, pray for Phil Rivers to just, I mean, I guess do what he's been doing all year. MJD needs another great game, and I don't know if it's going to happen at New York. And Larry Fitz, can he do it again? He's had, a couple good games this year, but they've been few and far between. Mike Williams out Baltimore. I could see Dwayne Bowe having a nice one. Mercedes Lewis having a nice one, but I just don't see the big dogs doing any big things for you, Solid Snakes, man. I'm sorry to say. Adrian Peterson's going to do his thing. Vincent Jackson's back in effect. Wow, Vincent Jackson and Sidney Rice. Holy cow. So High Step and Freak, you know what? Those are big gambles, and if those gambles fail for High Step and Freak, Solid Snakes is going to have a really good shot in this game. But if those gambles hit, if he catches lightning in a bottle here, then High Stepper is going to win. But so this will be really interesting, man. I honestly don't know how to call it. I don't know what to predict for Vincent Jackson or Sidney Rice. He's also got a third wide receiver in Blair White out there. I really don't know how to predict this game. It's going to be really fucking interesting, though, and I'm going to be watching. But High Stepper's off to a huge lead. Not to say that Solid Snakes couldn't make that right back up with MJD and Rivers. And now my game against Jersey. I think if I win this, I'm going to knock Jersey out or severely cramp his ass. And he's going to need some help to get into the playoffs. Yeah, and I'm off to a decent start. 41 points with my first 3 players. I can take that. Garrett Hartley, a guy I've drafted, dropped, and then picked back up. Looked solid this week with a 13-point effort, and his longest field goal of his career. Welcome back, Garrett. Yeah, Colston did nice work. Keller did okay. Jared Mayo pissed me off with those 10 tackles. So Jersey's off to a good start. Got some great matchups with Roethlisberger, Chris Johnson, Rashard Mendenhall, Darren McFadden, Greg Jennings. All those guys have really nice matchups, and so Jersey's going to put up points. I got to be ready to. I got to contend with probably 130-point game here this week. Meanwhile, Bradshaw lost his starting job, but I got to start him anyway. Jamal Charles has been consistently getting me yards, but not getting in the end zone. Hopefully, he'll break one or two. Roddy White's got to do something. I don't know. I'm going to need some things to go right. Hakeem Nicks got fucking hurt. Antonio Gates still isn't playing, so I got to start Jeremy Maclin and Greg Olson. I got to play the Bears D against Michael Vick and Philly. So this is a pretty tough matchup for me. I'm going to actually have to say that I'm going to lose this game. I haven't said that often this year at all, and even though I'm off to a lead, I think I'm going to lose this game like 130 to a 105 or something like that. God, can you see the sadness in my face right now when I say that shit? I'm almost going to cry right now. Ugh. Anyway, I think I'll take an L. And I'm alright with that, because I'm guaranteed a playoff spot, but I really want that first week bye. And I really don't want to have to see fucking madmen in the playoffs, because that team is stacked. Anyway, guys, good luck to everybody. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving, and I'll talk to you all again soon. Peace.